invited out to dinners, you know, all the comedians. No, hang on, I'm just going to say, invited to all the Lord Mayor's dinners in Blackpool. Frank's a very good friend of the Mayor of Blackpool. We all get invited out. And Steve, he loves them parties, don't you, Steve? He said to the Lord Mayor, what's the occasion like there? And the Mayor said, it's my daughter's coming out party. He said, oh, what's she been in for?
These are all true, all true. Here's a quick one. Do you know the 20 dockers pulling the boat in with a great big rope? And the rope broke. And not one fell over. I know another one like that. Two fellas walking through the fields, you know. One said, what a lovely coloured cow. His mate said, yes, it's a Jersey. He said, really? I thought it was its skin. Two fellas at a dance, and one said, no one will dance with me. His mate said, no wonder, it's your feet, B.O., the pong. The steam coming out the lace-hole. He said, why don't you change your socks? And he went away and he came back. He said, no one will dance with me. He said, you change your socks? He said, yeah. He said, where's the ones you had on? He said, in my pocket. Another fellow couldn't afford to tax his car, so he stuck a Guinness label on the windscreen. I went and had his dinner. When he came out, his car was gone. He said, where's my car? And the little lad said, I took it back and got trippings on it.
Hey, I love it. I have marvellous stories. Yeah, I smash it. Now, I haven't heard this one myself, so I want you to listen. Welsh farm. All the women of the family had died, which left the grandfather, the father, and the son on the farm, looking after it by themselves, on their own. And they all used to watch one another like orcs. Arr. And one night, the son was missing. And there was a grandfather and the father sitting there in the little hut, flag floor, clean nicks, sitting. Right, keep going. Has somebody come home? Are we all right? And the grandfather looked at his watch. He says, hey, boy, oh, then, it is on that. Hey, Stedford, look at the time, isn't it? 22:09, isn't it? Where's your son? Well, he says, I don't know where he is. He's probably out on that, isn't it? Altogether, on that. Llangollen. And 20 to 10, they were still waiting for him. 20 past 10, in he came, the son. And the father looked at the son. He said, hey, boy, oh, where have you been? And that. You've been out till, look at the time, and that. After 10 o'clock, wait. Well, Daze says, I can't tell you a lie. He said, I've been up the road with Elsie from the top farm, he said. You know Elsie, he said, from the top. Oh, he says, Elsie? He says, oh, boy, he said, such passion. And a week passed, and the father's missing. There was a grandfather and the son in the house, sitting on the flag, watching the telly. And they watched me, hope he'll wiggle. Oh, lagwood. You watch the prayers at the end. Still hadn't come in, the father. At 20 past 12, in he came, the father. And the grandfather said, hey, boyo, look at the time then. It's tomorrow. Where have you been until now? It is on that altogether, Barmouth. And then, you can't have been up to any good until now, can you? And that altogether. Well, he said, I can't tell you a lie. He said, I've been up the road with Elsie from the top farm. Said, you know Elsie, he said. You know Elsie, he said. Oh, boy, he said. Such passion. I forgot the bloody gag now. A month later, the grandfather's missing. Father and son sitting there all night, watched the telly, switched the telly off, went to bed, no sign of grandfather. Got up the next morning, milked the bull, funny farm. They're having the breakfast, and 20 to 9, in he came, the grandfather. He was knackered, he was tired. And he walked in, and the father looked across, disgusted. And there was the grandfather, ashen. pale as well. Daze said you've been out all flaming night then and that, isn't it? Where have you been? Look, all. Well, you can't have been up to any good. He said, said, son, he said, I can't tell you what I said. I've been up the road with Elsie from the top farm. He said, you know Elsie, he said. Oh, boy, he said, such patience. Murphy he arrived in Bowen Furnace. There's a lively place. Cemetery with lights. Bowen Furnace. Walking in the street, he gets into a taxi. The taxi driver says to him, do you like conundrums? Murphy says, I only touch stout. Nothing else. Fella says, no. Says he, do you like riddles? He says, well, I've never had one. Says he, well, I'll give you one. Says he, brothers and sisters, I have none, but this man's father is my father's son. Who is it? Murphy says, cheers, I don't know who that is. The taxi driver says, well, it's myself, isn't it? Murphy says, God, wait till I get home and tell Casey that. He's walking down the main street in Ballybutton. That's a naval base in Ireland. Ballybutton. Runs into Casey, says he, Casey, I've got a riddle for you. Casey said, what is it? Says he, brothers and sisters, I have none, but this man's father is my father's son. Who is it? And Casey said, it's yourself. Murphy says, no, it's not. It's a taxi driver in Bowen Furnace.
Hey, and this, what about that little girl? This little girl, she said to her, Cheshire. She said to her Dan, Dan. She said Daddy, actually, but I don't like saying Daddy because it sounds sissyish. She said, Dad, she said, Dad, our tortoise is walking slow. He said, yes, I know, love. He said, it's getting old now, and one day it'll get very old, and it'll... It's not funny, this, you know. You might have to tell your children this when they ask you. He said, it's getting old. She said, well, it should be old by now, Dad. He said, yes, and one day it'll have to die. But he said, don't worry, because what we'll do is we'll take it up the garden and we'll find a nice leafy place. And he said, we'll dig this hole and we'll fill it full of straw and we'll get lots and lots of satin and silk and we'll cover it up in that and we'll put it in. And then he said, we'll put all nice things around the grave, like we'll put a cross on it and we'll cover it up and it'll and moss and it'll look really nice. And he said we might even have a brass band to play bugle marches. She said, oh, let's kill it now. What about the two fellas going through the jungle and one of them got bit by a snake and it hurt him. And he says to his pal, that snake just bit me. Right there where you sit down. And he went, oh, like that. And so his pal ran through the jungle for the doctor because he thought it might be serious. And he said, Doctor, my friend's just been bit by a snake right there where you sit down and it hurts. And the doctor said, was it a baby snake? And he said, yes, it still had its rattle. So anyway, so he said, well, you better go back as quick as you can and suck all the poison out. Otherwise, he'll be dead in an hour. Yeah, he said he'd be dead in an hour. So he ran back as quick as he could, and there he was on the floor in agony. And he went, but he cracked on, he was tough, he went. He said, what did he say? He said, you'd be dead in an hour.